So joining us now, he's a candidate for Congress, District 1, Ohio, Eric Conroy, on the program for the first time. Eric, nice to finally meet you. How you doing, sir?
Dan, thanks for having me, and thank you for the chat about redistricting. And I'd just like to say, if it wasn't for double standards, the Democrats would have no standards at all. And if they're gonna play games and gerrymander and include illegal aliens when we decide where our districts are, then we have the right as conservatives to play hardball and fight back.
Yeah.
And
isn't that interesting, Eric? Isn't that interesting that when we redistrict, or gerrymandering, that word sounds dirtier, we do it legally. We want the rolls cleaned up. We want just citizens counted, and then we'll redo the map. And guess what? I bet a heck of a lot more places in this country would be red. They gerrymander, and what you just said, they do it illegally, right? They've got dead people on the rolls. They got illegals on the rolls, and then they redraw them, and all of a sudden they got more D seats because they don't do it the proper way. And they are so hypocritical coming out and leaving a state. I mean, just talk about that. You're an Air Force vet. You're in the CIA. What happens if you didn't show up to Langley one day for a week? What happens if you didn't show up and report when you were in the Air Force for a week? What would happen to you?
extreme consequences, right? This is about personal accountability and reality, right? And I saw one stat last week that if it weren't for illegal immigrants being counted in these districts, the Democrats would have 10 to 12 less representatives in Congress.
I read the same.
This nonsense just has to stop. And when we're moving on to Ohio and chatting about Ohio specifically, without getting into some legal minutia, Ohio is the only state in the country that's legally required to redistrict this year. And while I can't speak specifically about what the state house might do, what I can say is I'm trying to unseat a radical leftist in Greg Landsman, who has completely lost touch with Cincinnatians in Southwest Ohio and has really abandoned this district. And I'd also like to help keep the GOP majority in the Congress next year.
Yeah, we need to. I mean, we're down to what, less than 5 seats now because some people have moved around in the Trump administration, retiring, whatever it may be. But we don't have many seats. We need to have a bigger majority, like 10, 15 to be amazing. And if we can get a handful more out of Ohio and Texas, that's a real reality that could happen. Let me talk about the district that you're running for, because this Landsman guy oversees the majority of Cincinnati, correct? And let's be real. Cincinnati over the last few years has been in the headlines because of Democrat rule when it comes to the city council, your county commissioners, your mayor, your woke female police chief that doesn't have a freaking clue. And the other week, I remember covering a story after the jazz festival of these white folks getting beat up by a black mob, and the dang mayor and police chief are downplaying it like both sides were to blame. And I'm like, I see a beatdown and people encouraging them, and you won't even call this a racial hate crime? Who are they playing to? I mean, look, okay, this is simple, black and white, crime, no crime. And I'm not talking black and white color. I'm talking about facts. You see the video, you know what's going on. The crime stats in that city have grown massively in the last decade. And you tell me, Eric, hasn't it been under Democrat rule for years?
It has, Dan. And Cincinnati is a textbook example of Democratic-run cities all over the country that are crashing and burning. We've seen the Democratic theory of government fail all over this country, including here in Cincinnati most recently. And for here in our very promising and successful city, we have a public safety issue. And we've had one at the hands of unfit Democrats who shouldn't be elected officials whatsoever. And it's not just a physical safety issue for Cincinnati, but it's an economic development issue as well. And cities like Cincinnati and others across the country cannot really reach their full potential with Democratic elected officials. They just can't. I mean, you saw the incident a couple weeks ago. It's appalling and it's tragic and it's embarrassing.
Well, their policies are not pro-America. They're not pro-capitalism. They're not pro-independent, for me, First and Second Amendment. Like, all of their policies are garbage. I'm almost out of time. I read off some of your priorities at the beginning, so we don't have to review those. Just tell me where they can find out more information about your bid for Congress, and then give me the one thing in 30 seconds you'll do if you win the minute you get to D.C. for our fellow Ohioans.
Well, please go to ericconroy.com for more information on me. I spent 7 years in the Air Force and 7 years in the CIA conducting operations abroad. My big goals are public safety and economic development. Medium-sized cities like Cincinnati need those two issues solved before they can really move into the next generation, and that will be my focus.
Amen. I totally agree with you. I hate seeing those medium and smaller towns going away because leadership doesn't have enough fortitude and looking into the future ahead to figure out how to plan to make their cities continue to thrive into the next decade and century even. And Ohio's
Absolutely.
such a beautiful place. I love it. I never say I'm from California, even though I've been out here for years. I'm always a Buckeye. Eric Conroy, folks, Air Force and CIA veteran, now running for Ohio's first congressional district to take out another dirty Democrat. Eric, thank you, brother, for coming on.
Dan, thanks for your time.
Appreciate you.